Clementine Barnabet is believed to have been born around 1894, reportedly in or near St. Martinsville, Louisiana. Her parents were Dina Porter and Raymond Barnabet, who were not married. Dina is described as Raymond's companion or live-in partner. Barnabet had at least one brother named Zephyrin, and some sources mention two other potential brothers, Tati and Farron, though Farron seems to be a nickname or variation of Zephyrin. She also had a half-sister named Pauline, who moved to Rain after marriage. Raymond, her father, was a sharecropper and petty criminal, and he is said to have abused his family. The Barnabet family relocated to Lafayette in 1909. Barnabet was 18 years old during her first trial in November of 1911, and 19 years old when she gave her second confession in April of 1912. On February 24, 1911, the Andrus family was murdered in their home in Lafayette. The Barnabet family, who were neighbors of the Andruses, became involved in the case when Raymond Barnabet was arrested on February 26 by Lafayette Parish Sheriff Louis Lacoste on suspicion of the crime. This arrest came after a mistress implicated Raymond in the murders, but he was released within a week due to lack of evidence. In July, Raymond was rearrested after his daughter Clementine and son Farron testified against him, claiming that he had returned home wearing blood-stained clothes and bragged about committing the murders. However, Raymond's partner, Dina Porter, contradicted her children's testimony, asserting that she had not seen any blood or heard Raymond confess. She did confirm his violent tendencies and mentioned that he had previously threatened to kill her. Additionally, two neighbors, Adele Stevens and her mother, denied seeing Raymond covered in blood on the night of the murders. On October 19th, Raymond was convicted of the Andrus murders and sentenced to death by hanging. During the trial, he did not visibly react to the verdict, but muttered, "Goodbye, I am done for," several times. Raymond's defense attorney successfully filed for an appeal, arguing that their client had been too intoxicated from a smuggled bottle of wine to properly defend himself. As a result, he was held in jail pending a new trial. On November 27, 1911, while Raymond was imprisoned, Norbert and Nazima Randall of Lafayette were murdered along with their 4 children in a manner similar to the earlier killings. Barnabet, who lived a few blocks away as a live-in housekeeper for the Guidry family, was familiar with the Randalls, as she and Nazima were both deaconesses at the same congregation. Barnabet was arrested the same day after blood was discovered on the back entry gate of the Guidry residence. Further investigation led to the discovery of more blood on an apron, a dress, and some underwear in Barnabet's bedroom. A physician confirmed that the blood samples were human, and he also alleged that the samples contained brain matter. The blood was determined to match that found on a pillowcase in the Andrus residence. Media continued to connect axe murders of African American families to the Church of Sacrifice in the months following Barnabet's arrest. During her trial for the Andrus and Randall murders, Barnabet behaved erratically, rocking back and forth in her chair while laughing. She confessed to her involvement in both killings and testified that she had acted under the orders of the Church of Sacrifice, a supposed offshoot of a Christ-sanctified Holy Church congregation in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Barnabet claimed that she had committed the 10 murders because the families had refused to obey the message from God, and said she had accomplices, though she did not specify who they were. She also alleged that she had murdered a woman and her children in Rain while visiting her sister Pauline. In January of 1912, several other suspects were arrested, including her brother Zephyrin, 2 men named Edwin Charles and Gregory Porter, who had been with Barnabet the night of the Randall murders, and Reverend King Harrison, who had led the original church branch in Lake Charles. By the end of January 1912, the Church of Sacrifice was linked to the ritualistic killings of 26 black Louisiana residents, though no evidence supported this claim. Despite the arrests of Clementine and Zephyrin, the axe murders of families continued. Barnabet briefly recanted her confession after the hearing. On April 2nd, Barnabet confessed to being involved in 35 murders, claiming to have committed 17 of them with her own hands, later revising the number to 20. She also described caressing the bodies of her victims, claiming to cradle their heads to her chest, even though only one case involved the bodies being moved after death. The interrogations were conducted by Arcadia Parish Sheriff Louis Fontenot, Chief Detective Peck, and Deputy Sal Broussard. Barnabet further stated that she acquired conjure bags, a hoodoo good luck charm, which she believed would grant her supernatural powers and make her undetectable by authorities. She said this led her to commit her first murder to test whether the charms provided magical protection. Barnabet alternately claimed she had received bags from the Church of Sacrifice or bought them from hoodoo doctors in New Iberia, and that she obtained them with 4 friends who were allegedly her future accomplices. Her second confession included lurid details, but these often contradicted crime scene evidence. For instance, she claimed to have entered crime scenes through the front door, though in some cases a back window had been used. Regarding the Randall family murder, Barnabet incorrectly stated that she had shot Norbert Randall somewhere in the breast or body, with a gun from her brother, even though he had been shot in the forehead. Her confessions were described as very self-contradictory, in contemporary reports, with details frequently changing, either due to her own revisions or misreporting by newspapers. Initially vague about the identities of the other participants in the murders, Barnabet later named at least 4 accomplices, 2 men and 2 women, though she only gave the names of the other women, Mary and Irene. One woman, arrested as Irene, Valina Mabry, was identified by Barnabet, but was released after providing an alibi. Barnabet also first claimed only 5 people were involved in the Church of Sacrifice, but later increased the number to 105 before her first trial. During her second confession, she stated that she was the sole perpetrator of the confessed murders, though she continued to speak as if she had killed with others. Barnabet initially implicated her father in the Andrus murders, as well as in 2 other killings in Crowley and Rain, but later retracted these claims, asserting his innocence. It was also reported that Barnabet had distributed the conjure bags to her accomplices, rather than receiving them as she had originally stated. She also falsely claimed to have committed the Broussard family murders, which occurred while she was in jail, and to have helped prepare the Andrews family for their funeral, even though she had not been involved. The media began to sensationalize the case, calling Barnabet the High Priestess, or leader of the Church of Sacrifice, which was portrayed as a cult rooted in voodooism, blending voodoo and hoodoo practices. The church was even linked to the Council of God Church in New Orleans, which had been notorious for a 1907 killing of a white police officer. Newspapers fabricated mystic details about the murders, such as targeting families of 5, collecting buckets of blood, and performing rituals with the bodies, with details varying from report to report. Barnabet's alleged motives also fluctuated in media reports. While she initially claimed the murders were to punish disobedient church members, the media later fabricated reasons, such as the murders being committed as part of rituals to grant the church's followers immortality. In the months following Barnabet's arrest, the media continued to link axe murders of African American families to the Church of Sacrifice. One of the final reports appeared in November of 1912, when William Isley, his wife, and their 4-year-old son were found murdered in their home in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Barnabet's trial began on October 21, 1912. A team of court-appointed physicians declared her sane, describing her as morally depraved, unusually ignorant, and of a low grade of mentality, but not deficient enough to be considered imbecile or idiotic. Her attorney, John L. Kennedy, argued that her confessions were unreliable, the result of her abusive childhood, and challenged the forensic methods used to match the blood found on Barnabet's clothing to that of the Andrews family. On October 25th, Barnabet was convicted of the murder of Azima Randall and sentenced to life in the Louisiana State Penitentiary. On July 31, 1913, she managed to escape from jail for a few hours but was quickly recaptured. During her time in prison, Barnabet was noted as a model inmate and began working in the on-site sugarcane fields in 1918. She appeared in the 1920 census, the only surviving government record of her, listing her as 25 years old. However, on August 28, 1923, Barnabet was released from prison after undergoing an unspecified surgical operation, believed to have cured her, though it was not a lobotomy, which was unknown in the U.S. at the time. James and James argued that if authorities had truly believed she was behind the murders, it's unlikely she would have been released so soon. They suggested that Barnabet was freed because authorities didn't believe her story either. After her release, there is no known information about Barnabet's whereabouts.